It's December of last year, and I'm outside in a little swing wrapped up in a blanket, kind of cold, reading 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. And this book is a very mind expanding book, and my mind felt expanded. I realized that I had this sort of internal map inside of me. Think of it like when you begin an open world video game. So I'm going to use Zelda because that's what I was addicted to. So in Zelda, you start and you get this map, but the map doesn't have anything on it. And then you go around and you go to these towers, and as you discover more of the world, your map unlocks more. And that's what and that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like now. Okay? So I didn't know, for me, what was right and wrong. I was a huge people pleaser, and I wanted to be great. So I started looking into morals, which seemed to be like internal guides for you. And because through this, I would begin to people please less. I would learn what my definition of great people do, and I would figure out my version of right and wrong. Okay? This period is when I was super into porn, and I was spending a lot of my time on video games and shows and just wasting it rather than pursuing growth. Okay? So, I started researching morals, and I learned about this thing called core values. Now, core values aren't necessarily the values that you have, but they're the values and ideal you would have. Okay? So, you have to have a starting point. You have to base it off something. So, ask yourself, what's most important to you? How do you recently act? So, reflect on how you recently act. And what do you like? What do you appreciate in your friends and family? What do you respect in your friends and family? I know I have a friend, he wants to be a gunsmith, and I think he really values respect. So, because he doesn't really care what you believe in or if you believe in anything, but he wants to be treated well, he treats other people well, and he would appreciate it if people across the board just treated each other well. They don't have to like each other, but they should respect each other. So there's an example. You could base it off of your dream. So, and this is a really good idea that I learned. So your ideal self is your dream self. So for my friend, it would be his, that he's a gunsmith. So base your core values in alignment to what your dream self / job or what your dream person, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, even 5 years, 1 year from now, what would they be like? Okay? There you can start developing your core values. To help, this is not necessary, but this is what I did. You could use spiritual symbols and meanings. So for me, to tell good and evil and then figure out my core values, I took the yin and yang symbol, so chaos and order, and then I took the 5 elements from Eastern Asian culture. I forgot which specific country it's from, but the idea of fire, earth, water, wind, and then since I got this idea from specifically Book of 5 Rings, emptiness. So earth, water, fire, wind, emptiness. Okay? So I started to develop my core values, and I wanted to be great. That's what I wanted to base my core values off of. So I started noticing around the world kind of what was necessary to solve problems, to turn chaos to order. And I eventually learned my core values. So make sure that you're observant in what you need and what you want to have as your internal guides, as your internal, towers. Okay? Limit the amount of core values that you have. So I have 6. I have 6 core values, and they're on my mirror over there. And they are very, very effective for me as my guide through life. So your core values should help you solve a problem that you have. Not necessarily like something technical where you don't need these said skills, but something worldly, like around you. So with people or with situations that are tough, things like that. Okay? From here, use your core values to notice your one skill. So I'm gonna use my gunsmith hopeful friend again. And so I have no idea what his one skill is. He's gonna have to figure that out for himself. But he definitely likes to be involved, and he has a super knowledgeable mind. So I think he could use that along with him noticing other things. So for me, for him to learn is one skill. For me, my one skill that I have is learning. Really, it's like learning rhythms. That's kind of what I base my whole ideals around. It's rhythms, and that I also got from the Book of Five Rings. And so my one skill is learning, or in biological terms, my one skill is pattern recognition. That's the best thing. That's the thing I'm best at in life. And so I use it, and I love learning, and I love getting into a flow state. And if I were constantly learning and that would contribute to humanity, that's what I would do easily, like that. So your one skill should be something that aligns with your core values, something that you love, and something that usually gets you in a flow state. Okay? And usually you're doing this kind of all the time. So some ideas of your one skill could be crafting, for me, or learning, speaking, socializing, talking with people, being super good with other people, and moving, literally just moving your body. Things like that could also be super helpful as your one skill. To supercharge your growth, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, make yourself an alter ego that always has the core values that you have. So for my gunsmith friend, he wants to be a gunsmith. So my advice to him would be make yourself an alter ego, and the gunsmith alter ego, make sure it has your core values in it, make sure it surrounds your one skill, make sure you love it, and then that's basically who you are. Okay. For me, I have 2 alter egos. I have, aside from my regular character. So my regular character is just my name. I'm Logan Mendonça. So, and in the yin yang sort of thing, that's the chaos. That's the one that goes out into the world and doesn't really know anything. He's the kind of one that like almost that is really like childish and pure, but also the one that gets like most affected by bad things happening. Okay. The second one, and the one that I think is the strongest, it's the most powerful for me, it's my greatest, it's the rhythm maker. And the rhythm maker surrounds my one skill of learning rhythms or patterns, okay? It has my core values, and it's something that I love to do. I love to drum, I love to learn rhythms. That's my alter ego, okay? So the rhythm maker represents in the yin yang complete like order. So he's extremely calm and he gets things done. My third one represents the line in between chaos and order and the yin and yang. And this is what I see as the melody. So I base my alter egos off of both the yin yang symbol and sort of music. Okay. So the melody is kind of the flow, just really good line in between. And that has my core values in it. It has my one skill, and it has a combination of both the order and the chaos side of the yin yang. Okay. And you can feel free to use any like other symbols. So like, I don't know, the Star of David or the Christian cross, things like that. They may help you. Okay. So you have your core values. You've learned what your core values are. You have your one skill and you implement it well. You have your alter egos that you can depend on and need. And now you have a pretty good map of what your internal world looks like. Okay? And this process is going to take months. It's going to take a lot of thinking on your part to make sure that you actually get it right. Like it took me 3 times before I actually figured out what I wanted to do with my core values. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I wanted to hold off telling you my core values until the end, just so you could have a chance to think about them. So my core values are kindness, representing earth, honesty, representing water, courage, representing fire, humility, representing wind, discipline, representing emptiness, and mindfulness, representing emptiness. Okay? So being kind to people, being honest, being courageous, being humble, being disciplined, and being totally aware. Okay. I hope this helps you on your journey to kind of start finding yourself. And yeah, let's go do good things.